What's up, everybody? What is going on? So, welcome to, we got a Practicum chat here, a little Noble at noon. And I am here with none other than, boom! What? This is my awesome wife, Gordon. Gordon.
Hey, everybody. I'm Kathy. I'm Noble's wife.
So please pray for her.
Well, and I feel like the first thing that I need to tell you all, this is probably the number one question that I get, is he always like this? And yeah, the answer is yeah, he's always like this. So
or asleep.
Either this or asleep. So there's two, it's on or off.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay. So, gorgeous. So, can you share with everybody, how long have we been homeschooling? How long have we been in classical conversations? And then I'll ask you the question for the day.
Yes. So our daughter is 9.5. We just finished our 5th year of homeschooling. Although I kind of disagree with that. We finished our 5th year with Cece. We did start from the beginning with her, but I have been homeschooling her since she was born. So as a mom, I consider all of us to be homeschoolers, because isn't that what we do?
That's exactly right. That's so true. And it goes by.
And he's always like this too. So just know this is the deal.
It goes by way too fast. You know, anyway, I'm not going to digress. Okay. So focus, gorgeous, focus. Okay. So the question that I think would help a lot of people, babe, if you could, just help some folks, in terms of their practicum experience, maybe for a first-time practicum attendee. What should their expectation be? How could they manage their expectations?
No, and that's a great question. So let me just tell you where we were at when we went to our first practicum. We had actually finished our first year of classical conversations with our daughter.
So awesome.
Oh my gosh.
It's good.
Focus.
I'm all excited. It's my wife right here. What?
So we had joined classical conversations, not because I knew anything about the classical model. I had no idea. That wasn't even a factor. But I knew my daughter was really good at memorization. And so when we were looking for, what curriculum or whatever we're going to use to homeschool her, as I saw that classical conversations did stuff with memorization, I thought, oh, that's the perfect fit for our daughter. Let's do it. That was our only decision. And I like that it was Christian. That was our only decision in joining classical conversations. I didn't have a clue, not a single clue. And I went through the whole first year and we loved it. We enjoyed it. We thought it was awesome, but I still didn't have a clue about what the classical model was all about. So bam, we finished our first year. We go to our first practicum. And literally, probably within the first hour, both of us went, our hair was blown back. We're sitting there like, what? What are these people talking about? Like, we didn't understand half the words that they were using. We didn't know, practicum. We didn't even know that. What is practicum? I have no idea. We didn't understand trivium. We didn't understand grammar, dialectic, rhetoric, all this stuff. We were just clueless. Noble was making a whole list of all the words that they said that we didn't know what they were talking about and what it meant or anything like that. And so, the
classical clue bus drove right by our house and didn't stop.
We missed it.
Well, okay. All right,
yeah,
good.
we waved. We didn't even wave as it went by. We didn't even know it was going by. So, but what I realized is I had gone into it with my own expectations. And here's what my expectations were. And here's kind of what I realized is I realized that when it comes to, at least for me, this is my experience. When it comes to homeschooling, there's the framework and then there's the mindset. And let me tell you what I mean. So the framework is the what and the how. So for instance, it's, well, how am I going to teach my child to read? How am I going to teach math to my first grader? What do I do at home for this? What do I do in the morning? So it's all the framework, it's the what and the how and all the details. And then what I realized where that came from is that came from my own schooling education, because I went to a private Christian school, Noble went to a public school. It's still kind of the same thing as far as the framework of it, right? It's all the different subjects and it's not classical at all. So I was spending all my time trying to figure out the framework, the how and the what. And what I didn't realize, because I didn't know to look for it, is what I really needed was the why.
That's money. That's money.
What I really needed was the mindset. I needed to understand, why are we doing this? What is the point of math? What is the point of a classical education? Why do we do the things we do? Where are we going with this? What is this going to look like in the end? What's the end result? I was so tunnel focused on, okay, my child's going into first grade, and how am I going to teach math? How am I going to teach this? I was so tunnel focused that I couldn't even step back and look at the big picture and figure out, why are we doing this and what's the mindset? So I had to learn a couple things. I had to learn that I had to unlearn a lot. I had to unlearn all of the ways that that I thought school should look, because to me, I thought, well, it's just like school at home, right? Homeschool, school at home. Well, it's not necessarily, and it's not when you're coming from a classical model, but I didn't know that, and I didn't know what the point was. So I had to start unlearning and being very open to, okay, I have to start where my daughter is starting. I have to start in the grammar phase, and I just need to understand, what are these words that they're talking about? What does that even mean? And why are we doing it this way? And so I had to start my learning in the same model that my daughter is going to be learning in. And that had to take some humility, quite frankly, because we feel like, well, I'm the mom, I should know, and I'm an adult, and how hard can this be? But I had to really realize that I didn't get this, and I didn't know, but I wanted to know, and I wanted to learn. And so once I figured that out, by the time I went to my second practicum, I went with a very different mindset. I wasn't going to, I had a few lists of questions that I wanted, so I had them written down because I knew I could ask another mom. I knew I could ask a mom who's maybe further down the road, or has been with CC longer, or has children older than my daughter. I could ask them the framework questions, the how do you do this, and what do you do for this? Like, those were easy, but what I was going to the practicum to learn now was the mindset, because I knew I had been in school for, K through 12 plus college, so X number of years that I had to unlearn. So I had to be very intentional about learning a classical mindset. And so that's the things that we were getting out of it. So for the next several years going to practicum, that was my whole goal. That's what I was going to listen for. And that has changed me. And that has made it's made a huge difference in our homeschool at home with our daughter.
That's great. Now, babe, so how about the veteran mom? So someone like ourselves, and not even veteran mom, but veteran dad too, which on a quick side note, I strongly recommend dads attend as well. It is so helpful to understand the mindset, the mindset and the framework of the classical model for the dad as much it is for the mother, so that father can support, or in some cases, the dads are the primary home educators. A lot of times it's the mother, but sometimes it's the father, and so it's equally important, I believe, for that family to be totally unified and understanding why you're educating your children the way that you are. And so anyway, that's just my 2 cents. If you guys can make it, it would rock, absolutely rock. Yeah. So the veteran families, babe, what kind of mindset, should they have? What kind of expectations should they have? Hey, I've already been to 5 of them already, or 4 of them. Like, what am I going to learn? I already get it, or whatever. Like, what do you think?
Well, let me give you a couple things that this is just me. This is just my mindset. Okay. So I'm going back obviously to practicum this year, and I'm looking for a couple things. Number one, I know that I don't know it all. I know that I have a lot that I can still learn about the classical model. I have a lot that I can still learn about what this journey is going to look like, and how I can, how I can lead my daughter through this, because I feel like I'm responsible for this. I'm responsible for her experience in this classical model, because this is what we've chosen. And so I always try to go with the mindset and the heart of a learner, because I know that if I go looking to learn, I will learn. I've learned that things like this, you get out of it what you are looking to get out of it. And so do I have a few questions? I have a few framework questions. Absolutely. I've got a few of those that I'm going to ask, and I'll get my questions answered. But I'm also just going with an open mind, because I know that I'm going to learn. I know I'm going to be encouraged. And so that's a big one, because I always feel like if I'm expecting my daughter to be a learner, how can I model that for her if I don't have that same spirit, if I don't have the spirit of being a learner and of realizing that I can learn something from anybody. And probably the things that one of the things Noble always says is the areas that you think you know the most in, you're the most dangerous because you're the least teachable. And so I always think, man, I don't want to be unteachable in this area. So I always go to learn. The second thing that I like to go for, and I have this in my mind this year, is to go to be a blessing. Because I feel like, okay, so it's only been 5 years that we've been in CC, but still that kind of makes us veterans. I mean, especially compared to somebody who's there for the first year. So I always go with the mindset of, I'm going to make sure that if there's anybody there that I don't know, I'm going to meet them, because there's no worse feeling. I think we can all agree to going somewhere where you don't know anybody. And especially if nobody reaches out to you and introduces themselves and makes you feel welcome, like that's a terrible feeling. And that's just not the image of our community that I want to portray. So I always make it a point to meet people. I make sure that I have at least introduced myself to anybody who's new or that I don't know, because I want them to feel welcome. And I want to be able to be a blessing, because there might be a new mom that I can answer questions for now, which that's pretty cool. And then the last thing that I go for is just relationships. You know, we feel, again, with our community, we feel like we will get out of it what we put into it. You know, I don't have the expectations that our community is going to provide everything for me and I don't have to give anything back to it. You know, we really have made an effort to develop those relationships with the families that are in our community, and specifically with the families who have children my daughter's age that she's friends with. Like we really tried to make an effort to do that and to nurture those relationships, because we know that they're really important for our journey and for our daughter's journey.
Awesome. Gorgeous. You rock, like ZZ Top, which is an old classical group back in the day, right after Bach and Beethoven there. Just to make a couple years separation.
Just a little bit.
You know, and just the last point that I would say is as a 1 Corinthians 12 member of the body of Christ, I think CC, you know, is CC perfect? Of course not. Any organization that has people in it, including your church, right, is not perfect. But I think that it's such a great representation of the body of Christ. And maybe if you're part of a community that you're not feeling that love, maybe, then you be that light. You be that 1 Corinthians 12 member of the body of Christ, and you be an example. But that was great, babe. I love your thoughts there. Thanks for sharing. So,
and we're going because our daughter loves the camps. She can't wait. It's one of the highlights of her summer. So she's excited for the kids' camps.
Yeah. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Of course, you rock. We'll see you all. Have a great day.